If you're brand new to real estate investing, you're probably asking yourself one question. What is the safest and smartest way to get started? Well, do you want to buy and hold? Well, that's rentals. Do you want to fix and flip? Are you organized enough for that? Do you want to do wholesale deals? What are those? Or maybe you've heard a thing called private money lending. I mean, any one of these could be an entry point. The truth is that there isn't just one way to get started in real estate investing, but the best strategy depends on on how much cash you have, how much time you can commit, and how much control you want. Those three things. So in this episode, we're going to walk through the most common beginner strategies in real estate and try to explain how you can choose that one that fits your life and give a simple step-by-step framework to evaluate your first deal. So let's jump in. So the 5 most common ways for beginners to get started. When most people think about real estate investing, they immediately think about buying a rental property. Yes, that is one way to do it, but it's not the only way. And some people get scared by that too. In reality, there are 5 common entry paths that most beginners take. So buy and hold or buy to rent. This is the traditional path. You buy a property, you rent it out, you collect monthly income, and you ideally the property increases over time. It's something you're going to hold for a while, at least 5 to 7 years, maybe 3 to 5. It can produce steady cash flow, but also requires capital management and patience. Number 2, private money lending. This is what I like. This is one of the most overlooked ways to get started in real estate investing. Instead of buying the property, you yourself become the lender. You are basically the bank, and you provide capital to that investor who's purchasing or renovating a property, and they pay you interest on your money. This allows for beginners, any beginner, to participate, understand real estate deals without dealing with the tenants and toilets and contractors and everything else. And many private lenders will get double-digit returns, and it can be a great way to learn the business while your money works for you. And is it not very much risk? So for many beginners, this is actually the lowest stress entry point into real estate investing. Now this next one, crowdfunding or fractional investing or syndication. You'll hear it as syndication. These platforms allow investors to pool more money to get money together, get on larger deals, and the minimum investment is generally lower to get a property outright. However, liquidity will be limited and you have very little control, if any. And the next one is fix and flip. This strategy does involve buying distressed properties, renovating them, and selling them for a profit, but you're going to have to be very, very organized because you are on a timeline. And you have to understand a lot about project management, renovation knowledge, and you have to have enough capital for unexpected surprises, but you make a lot of money. Wholesaling requires very little money, but a lot of hustle. This is an off-market deal process. Usually they're unlicensed, kind of like unlicensed agents, but they're not agents because they're not licensed in the state of Michigan. And it can generate income quickly, but requires a lot of network, a lot of marketing, and a lot of hustle. The key takeaway here is that not every strategy will fit every personality, and some people just want the passive income. Some want long-term wealth. Some just want fast cash, but some want control over their asset. And your job is to choose a strategy that's going to work for you. So on this one, let's choose what's the right strategy for you. The easiest way to narrow your options is by answering 3 simple questions. How much cash you have? That's going to take you out of a few different ideas here. How much time do I have? If I got a full-time job, it's going to be tough. And how much control do I really want over this investment? So for example, if you have capital but very little time, private money lending might be an excellent starting point. And if you want full control and long-term income, buy and hold rental property is perfect. You make a lot of money with that over time. If you enjoy the renovation projects and just want to kind of get in and out and do all this stuff, but have capital, and have time and have knowledge of it, fix and flip is the way to go. It's very fun to watch a house come together. But if you don't have very much capital, very much of anything, wholesale is your way to go, but you have a lot of time, usually all younger people, then I would go wholesaling. And you have to choose one that fits your life. A good strategy should match your money, your schedule, and most importantly, your risk tolerance, not your ego. Ego, you got to keep out of real estate because it will get you in trouble. So here's what every beginner should know. Before you buy your first property or fund your first deal, you need to understand a few fundamentals. These basic will protect you from expensive beginner mistakes. So first, you need a strategy, especially an exit strategy. Don't chase every opportunity, and pick your lane and become an expert in that. Second, you need to understand numbers. This isn't high math, it's low math. At minimum, every investor should understand key formulas: cash flow, cap rate, cash on cash return. You don't need to be an accountant. You don't need to be a math magician. You just need to know those three things. Third, avoid predictable mistakes. So when you go and look at a deal, you hear it, you say it again. Did you do your due diligence? Say that 5 times fast. Like, did you do the inspection? Did you underestimate repair costs? Do you understand what a repair costs? Did you over leverage any of your money? So the point of goal underwriting is not to convince yourself the deal works. It's actually the opposite. And the goal of the deal is to see if it will work with all these different contingencies. So if you're serious about getting started, here's a 7-step framework that will guide your first investment. First, you have to define your financial goals. Do you want monthly income? Do you want long-term appreciation? Is it a quick flip profit? But let's get clear on what your goal is. Next, choose your investment timeline. Is this a short-term investment? Are you trying to get in, get out? Are you doing a 5-year hold? Or are you doing a longer-term hold? And your financing should match that timeline accordingly. Next, again, probably we should be first is define your exit strategy. What happens when the market changes? What happens if the property isn't performing like it used to or expected to? And professional investors always have multiple exit plans. Next, most important, you've got to create your buy box. You've got to understand what your buy box is. You've got to understand what kind of your price range, your property, your neighborhood you're going to get into, what kind of tenant, if you're going to do a buy and hold, what kind of house, all these, whatever acceptable risk is. This will keep you disciplined in this. So then you got to prepare your finances. This is number 5. Know your loan options, know your down payment, and know your reserves, and run the numbers every single deal. Next, step 6, execute due diligence. Before you close, you got to make sure you run through your inspections, your title work, contractors to get all the costs. Know what's your insurance going to be, how many permits you got to go get. These are things that smart investors use to protect themselves. Number 7 is who's going to manage the property? Who's going to handle the maintenance? Do you have lease documents ready? The time to solve these problems are before closing, not after. Now, here are the 3 numbers every investor must know. If you want to invest in real estate, you must start evaluating properties like assets instead of emotional purchases. It can get very exciting to own property and feel like an investor, but when it makes you go bankrupt, this is the time to be it. Now, understand cash flow. Cash flow is the money that's left over after all expenses are paid. Income minus expenses minus debt equals cash flow. Cap rate. Cap rate helps you evaluate the return of the property itself. This formula is really easy. Net operating income divided by the purchase price. Simple. Cash on cash return. This tells you how hard your actual investment capital is working. Formula is this: annual cash flow divided by total cash invested. When you understand these numbers, you can quickly evaluate a property just like that, see if it's worth pursuing. Now, here are simple rules to screen the deals. Many investors often use quick screening deals to see if a deal works. One is the 1% rule. You take 1% of the purchase price, see if that fits into what the rent should be. And another one I don't use very often is a 50% rule, which estimates that half of the gross income will go towards operating expenses. These aren't really perfect, but it kind of gives you a quick deal to see if you want to go drive all the way out there and look at those property before you do it. And a deal that only works in perfect conditions is not really a good deal. So next is financing your first investment. Your financing strategy will determine which deals you can pursue. So common options will VA loan for house hacking. I love doing VA loan veterans. You can have more than one. Conventional investor loans, even conventional loans work. DSCR loans, hard money loans for flips only. I'll repeat that. Hard money loans for flips only. And private money lending is great for relationships for everybody. So whatever your loan type, just be prepared for a down payment, to budget costs for closing costs, repairs, and reserves, and unexpected surprises. Most importantly, get pre-approved. If you're going to get private money lending, you got to raise capital before you even think about moving on an opportunity, because you got to strike fast when it's there. Now, here are some common beginner mistakes. Most new investors make similar mistakes. They underestimate the repairs. They ignore operating costs. They skip inspections because they get so excited about it. and they overpay. Overpaying is a huge one I see all the time. And they rely entirely on the appreciation. Smart investors focus on cash flow and conservative underwriting. They stress test their numbers and define clear walkaway criteria, because the smartest deal isn't the one you don't buy. So, in closing, real estate investing can absolutely change your financial future, but success doesn't start with hype. It starts with clarity and discipline. You got to understand your numbers, and you got to stick with your numbers and your buy box, what you're going to get into. Choose a strategy that fits your time, fits your capital, and fit your goals, and learn these numbers, run analysis, and remember, most people shop for houses. Investors underwrite them. Thanks for listening. Hope to see you next episode.